All right, today let's talk about the writing and language section of the SAT, specifically the difference between however and but. So the question I have in mind comes from the May 2018 SAT in North America, and I actually want to look at two questions together. You'll see in a moment why that's relevant. So we're going to look at the very first two questions of the writing and language test from May 2018. I'll put them up on the screen here, and you can pause the video, read through these two questions, and see if you can answer them. Okay, so you've taken your best guess about the answers to questions 1 and questions 2. So the question I really care about here is number 2, but we'll bring along number 1 for the ride as well. So the first thing that I want you to notice is that question 1 and question 2 are different. So whenever you're answering a question on the writing and language section, you want to figure out, what is this question asking? What's the topic? What's the concept? What's the error? Something like that. And so it's easy to think at first glance that question 1 and question 2 are similar. I say that because question 2 includes words like nonetheless and however, and these are the same kinds of words as the phrases in question number 1, right? They just link ideas together in sentences. So if you're not careful, you may mistake question 2 for testing the same kind of thing as number 1. Now it's not at all. So number 1 is what we would call a transitions question. So it's not a grammatical question, it's merely a question of linking together the ideas in the sentence logically. So you just want to pick the phrase that makes sense with the logic of the ideas in the sentence, and the grammar doesn't matter. Question 2, however, is a grammatical question, and so the word nonetheless here doesn't really factor into it. So the first thing you can eliminate for question 2 is the word nonetheless, because it's not ultimately going to address the problem that question 2 has. So this brings us to what's really going on with question 2. So if you look at this question, if we just read out the sentence that's in question here. So transforming landfills into parks has its pitfalls, comma, however, comma, it is well worth the effort for communities to invest in these spaces. So if you're really well-founded in English grammar, you might just look at that sentence and say, that's a run-on, and you would instantly pick B, get the correct answer, and you move on with your life. However, if that wasn't obvious to you, then here's the way that you could think about this question. So first of all, you must realize that however and but are not the same kind of word, even though they seem to mean very similar things, right? They both show contrast between ideas. However, they're not the same. So the difference between a word like but and a word like however is significant. So the word but is a coordinating conjunction. So in English, these are words that put clauses together, specifically independent clauses, complete sentences. There are only 7 coordinating conjunctions, and you can remember them really easily with the handy mnemonic device fanboys. So fanboys, each letter represents the first letter in the 7 coordinating conjunctions. So they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Those 7 words, right? So they all go together, they all have the same grammatical function. They link together independent clauses, complete sentences, into one sentence with a comma. The word however, is not one of these words, right? In fact, one thing that you'll have to remind yourself is that there is no H in fanboys. However is not a coordinating conjunction. It's classified as an adverb, a coordinating or a conjunctive adverb, of which there are quite a lot, very many. We have lots of these words in English. Here's some. So, however, is just one of these kinds of words. So the important difference is that you don't connect together independent clauses with the word however. If you want to do that, you need to use a semicolon, right? Or have a full stop before the word however. So in this case, this question, when we read this, we see transforming landfills into parks has its pitfalls. That's a complete sentence. Then the next part after the conjunction, it is well worth the effort for communities to invest in these spaces. That's also a complete sentence. If we want to coordinate these two sentences together correctly, we have 2 options. We can either use a comma and a fanboys word, like the word but, or we could use a semicolon and a word like however, some kind of conjunctive adverb. Now, if we look through the answer choices that we have available to us, the original text is a run-on sentence. We don't really have time to get into that today. It's a topic for another video, but it's a run-on sentence. And so A is out. If we look at D, that's the same word, just deleting the second comma. That doesn't fix the problem either, so D is out. As I said before, nonetheless has nothing to do with it, because it's not a meaning issue, it's a grammar issue. Nonetheless is another conjunctive adverb like however, so it's not going to fix the problem. So we're left with B. The reason that B fixes this problem is that we have two complete sentences, and so to connect them together, one possible way to do that is with a comma, which the original text has, and a fanboy's word like but. So, important takeaway from today, there is a big difference between but and however, and if you don't know that, you're likely to get these kinds of coordination questions wrong. So just remember, there's no H in fanboys.